Hello and welcome to today's podcast. My name is Alex Ball and I'm the marketing lead at StoreEdge, and it is my pleasure to have Danny Schumann with us today. Danny is our Director of Digital Strategy here at StoreEdge, and he's going to be talking to us today a little bit about what you can be doing to winterize your storage website for the rest of the year and make sure you've got everything you need before the winter months come. So, Danny, thanks for joining us today. Could you tell me a little bit about your role and the role of your team here at StoreEdge?
Yeah, my job is really to ensure the success of our clients and our partners with digital strategy, all things digital strategy. Obviously, the hub, the core of that is the website. With all the activity coming to the website, getting people to come to their websites, tenants and prospective tenants to come to their websites, and ensuring that we push them toward the path of conversion with the least resistance, and then also thinking about ancillary or outside marketing options and products and channels to consider to amplify what would otherwise be coming to their websites.
Awesome. Well, like I said, today we want to talk a little bit about what self-storage owners need to make sure they cross off their list and get on their website before the end of the year. So maybe if you could tell me a little bit, with the end of the year approaching, what are a few big things that you should do related to your website to maximize leads?
Yeah, honestly, the first thing I would kind of think about right now this time of year is discounts and promotions. Of the past 6 months or so, the spring and the summer, you can, for the most part, as an industry, get by a little bit with offering your price and realizing that the demand is strong and high enough that you really don't need to necessarily give away margin or give away money to get tenants to fill, depending on your market and in your individual scenario. But in the fall, demand really drops off pretty significantly, especially after the kind of back to school, August, September time period. So you may want to get comfortable with giving away a little bit of margin or giving away a little bit more, providing more incentive to get tenants to rent through you. And that may seem kind of uncomfortable, but the nice thing about the fall time period is that new tenants tend to keep their units rented a little bit longer, definitely through the winter months. So keep in mind you're kind of looking at a longer residence, so to speak, in the tenant world. So in most cases, get comfortable with the idea of maybe giving away the first month for free or at a discounted rate, knowing that you're going to likely have longer tenants. And now's also a really good time to experiment with partners like or marketing channels like Google Search or Sparefoot or something like that, where again, maybe in the spring or winter months it doesn't make sense to give away margin, knowing that you're probably going to be able to get tenants in for full price. But now's a good time to experiment, knowing you're probably going to have to provide incentive or kind of compromise something in terms of revenue to fill your units. So get experimental with marketing. If you consider it a Yelp or Google Ads or, like I mentioned, Sparefoot or other aggregators, try something. Determine kind of a comfortable enough budget that you wouldn't mind, knowing that even if you don't necessarily get your ROI back, you've learned something throughout the process. So definitely a good time to give yourself a little bit of insight, I guess, into other marketing channels.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Danny. Another question I have for you is, with the winter months coming up, what are some good reminders that our self-storage owners should be thinking about doing before the weather turns as it relates to their website and social media, say beyond discounts?
Yeah, I would definitely look at the next few weeks especially and take those pictures that you've been meaning to take to put on your facility pages or your home pages. It's kind of one of those things you run into a lot where in the middle of the winter months when everything is kind of ugly on the outside and you wish you had better images to put up on your facilities, to sell your facilities or sell your units. You kind of wish you had done in the fall. And fall is actually a fantastic time in terms of colors and lighting. Great time to get the photographs, and in some cases, especially if you're kind of willing to put forth a little bit of money in hiring maybe a drone photographer to get an aerial shot of your facility, if your facility kind of has the aesthetic that could where that could be an asset for your business. definitely recommend that. And the nice thing too about, these are things you can definitely do with your own phone, especially with phones nowadays and, iPhones and otherwise. It's something you can do yourself. You don't have to spend a whole lot of money to get nice facility shots. One thing I will say about that too, though, is if you do spend a little bit of money to get a professional photographer to come take shots of your site, those photos will last years. So definitely worth an investment up front. But definitely you'll want to make sure to do that in the next several weeks or so before it's too late and things just aren't quite as nice outside. And that's the case for the entire real estate industry, really, unless you're selling a cozy winter cabin. Now's the time to get the best photos.
Great. That makes a lot of sense. That's something I certainly wouldn't have thought of myself, being a little newer to the industry, but makes a ton of sense. You can't get back time, so might as well take advantage of the nice weather while you can. So another question I have for you, Danny, what about winterizing as it relates to RV and boat storage?
Yeah, RV, boat, and even motorcycle. This is kind of the time of year where those toys are going back in their garages. And as an industry, this is such a big segment of our industry is vehicles, and we probably take it for granted that's what people use self-storage for. But now being, for most of the country, kind of that season where those vehicles are coming our way to our facilities and our units, make sure that your marketing material is clear that you offer that amenity. Believe it or not all facilities offer that, and that makes sense. Make sure it's clear, and kind of put your mind in yourself in the mind of your tenants or prospective tenants. Go to each page of your website or to the facility pages or the home pages of your website, even your social media channels, and ask yourself, does it look clear that my facility offers vehicle storage? Again, it's just kind of one of those things that sometimes we take for granted that we offer that. Make sure it's clear to prospective clients that you do offer that. And in some cases too, we just mentioned discounts and promotions. Do something specific to RV and boat storage in terms of promotions, and make it clear on your website too that this is, whether it's specific to vehicles or not. This is a time of year where some people they're decreasing prices because demand is a little bit lower. Rather than just decreasing prices, I would definitely make it clear, like this is a special price. Make them feel this is the right time to act, and they are going to be price shopping. So when they see a price, give them a little bit of urgency. Show that this is a limited time only discount, and maybe specifically for boats or their RV or motorcycle. Make them feel appreciated. We're fans of motorcycles, or we're part of the club, or have special appreciation for vehicles, and especially too if you do offer specific amenities like maybe a vehicle wash bay or electricity hookups, dump stations, shuttle services, anything that would really especially accommodate those with RVs or boats or motorcycles. Another thing too, sometimes it's easy to take for granted is 24-hour access. I think a lot of tenants can get uncomfortable with the idea of putting their vehicle away when and not being able to jump and go grab it at a minute's notice if they need. If you do offer 24-hour access hours, make sure that's clear too. That is a feature that people look for, and just kind of give them a little reassurance that their assets are available whenever they need.
Awesome. Well, one other question I have for you today, Danny, is obviously you've been talking a lot about planning ahead, and as a marketer, I appreciate that. I always am trying to work on whatever I'm working on in January. I want it to be really something that's not launching until March, and what I'm working on in March is actually for May or June to be as ahead of the game as I possibly can be.
For sure.
What else along those lines should self-storage operators be thinking about moving into the fourth quarter of this year?
Yeah, once you get those kind of fall initiatives in place, again, the kind of this month or two where demand starts to wane, start thinking about spring. I'm in my mind, I'm thinking of website SEO, search engine optimization specifically. When you do make changes or put in SEO initiatives in your website, it's gonna take throwing out an average 6 months for those changes to take effect, or for those changes and the benefits and the increased or better performance to be recognized by Google. So really start thinking about what, maybe think about earlier this year, what did you wish you had in place in spring that you would have done over the course of the winter? Think about those things now. Over the course of the spring and summer, do you wish, were you low occupancy on vehicles or, student storage or military storage, something specific that you feel like you can really kind of put a focused initiative on your website to make it clear, again, to Google and to users too, that you are in fact the best resource in town for X or Y or Z. Think about what you can do for that specifically, and do it now, because it is going to take a while to kick in effect, and those who win are going to have those kind of those content initiatives, so to speak, or those website maintenance initiatives done now, and really going to be active and working in the spring. So start thinking ahead and make a kind of a plan for yourself. It's easy to kind of push those things to the side, and the more you do it, the further you get into late winter and early spring, and I wish you'd started thinking about that earlier. Great.
Well, that makes a ton of sense, and I think is really, really great advice for self-storage operators out there as it relates to their web presence. On behalf of Store Edge, I'd like to thank you guys for joining us today and listening into this podcast on how you can optimize your storage website for the fourth quarter and even into the early spring. Please make sure to follow us on social media. We're out there on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We're all over. Also, check out our blog, which you can find on our website. We're regularly updating that with other great content like this that can help you improve your operations and hopefully drive more revenue.
And one thing I'll do too on the podcast page is I'll actually list specific tactical examples of things you can do for each of the points that I made today. What are specific things you can do on your website, social media channels, your Google Maps page. I'll kind of list some specifics that if you want to kind of jump in and get started, that you can check those out on the podcast page.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you all very much, and have a great rest of your day.